Hence, by way of example, I have spoken in several debates on the WTO negotiations and on GMOs. The WTO has many flaws, but surely its most ludicrous defect is the unfair advantage which it gives to China, India and Brazil by affording them the favourable status of developing countries. They once were emerging economies, but today they have very definitely emerged and can compete with the best. Indeed, so successful are they that they are world leaders in several fields. Yet inexplicably we give them a free ride as developing countries and in consequence accept lower standards and commitments from them. Little wonder my constituents often see the WTO as not meeting or serving their interests, a feeling which is accentuated when they watch unmatched concession after concession on agricultural issues by Commissioner Mandelson. Commissioner, getting the right deal is more important than getting a deal, and it will not be the right deal if it washes away our agri-food industry under an incoming tide of cheap imports from countries we treat more favourably than their robust economic capacity requires. President, what a laughingstock the EU must be to its competitors. With sanctimonious fervour we ban GMOs in animal feedstuffs, even to the ridiculous point of zero tolerance of any unauthorised GM trace. But simultaneously, meat derived from animals reared outside the EU and fed with the very GMOs which we refuse to authorise can be imported freely anywhere within the 27 states. President, it sounds like 0 sense to me. The EU strains at a gnat and swallows a camel. And who suffers? Our own producers, who have to pay sky-high prices for GM-free feedstuffs. It seems that within the EU, if the political correctness boxes can be ticked, then we should be happy. Never mind the lunacy which we create. Naturally, constituents raise a huge range of consumer concerns. I don't just pursue these at home, but I raise them when possible in Europe. Disproportionate rises in electricity prices are a persistent problem which I recently highlighted in Brussels. Among the projects that the EU has encouraged is the single electricity market on the island of Ireland. Can the Commission explain why, for consumers in Northern Ireland, it is not working, and instead of stability and savings in price, we have seen a massive 52% hike since January of this year, and a never widening gap with prices prevailing in the rest of the United Kingdom, where in the same period the price rise was 29%, big in itself but a lot less than 52%. Will the Commission investigate the failure of this scheme to deliver the promise of Minister Dodds when he launched it of efficiency savings and enhanced competition to help minimise the wholesale cost of electricity, with the vast bulk of the benefits, he said, going to the consumer? For my constituents, less than a year on, that rings very hollow indeed. And in particular, will the Commission investigate the contribution to the non-delivery of the single electricity market of the failure adequately to address the dominance of the ESB in the southern market and the resulting lack of competition, which of course is the imperative to success in any single electricity market? As you'd expect, I don't leave my unionism at home when I come to Brussels, nor my vehement opposition to IRA Sinn Féin. I take every opportunity to expose their cant and hypocrisy, particularly when they would try to pose as peacemakers. One such opportunity to put IRA Sinn Féin on the back foot was when we debated their vicious murder of Robert McCartney. Mr. President, right at the outset, I salute the superb courage of the McCartney family. Intimidation and the capacity to impose its will through fear has always been as vital a weapon to the IRA as its guns and its bombs. In exposing and standing up to the thuggery of Sinn Féin IRA, the McCartney sisters have shown remarkable bravery. This was a foul murder. By a hand signal indicating a knife should be used, a member of the IRA's Northern Command gave the order to kill, and a key Sinn Féin member savagely wielded the knife and butchered this innocent man before multiple witnesses. An IRA unit led by the volunteer who had fetched and then disposed of the knife then coordinated a clean-up operation to destroy forensic and real evidence, including the CTV footage. Then, in classic IRA style, the Intimidation Brigade swung into action to silence the witnesses. Though the IRA and Sinn Féin claim to have expelled or suspended up to 10 members linked to this murder, their duplicity and double-dealing is amply illustrated by the fact that 3 months after this murder, this cutthroat psychopath remained publicly proclaimed as one of Sinn Féin's official treasurers, and the man who ordered the killing still struts the streets of Belfast in the company of the IRA's Chief of Intelligence, Bobby Storey, and leading provisional IRA man, Eddie Copeland. So much for the IRA's supposed disciplinary action. It is a farce. We are due to hear in this debate from one of Sinn Féin IRA's representatives in this House. She and her partners are in a position to help this family by influencing Sinn Féin members like Bob Fitzsimmons and Joe Fitzpatrick and other people like Terry Davison to truthfully tell the lawful authorities what they know of the horrific events in the alleyway. I challenge her to do so, but instead I fear we will hear the usual Sinn Féin empty, pious, weasel words that reek of insincerity, with hypocrisy dripping from every syllable. Sinn Féin IRA could secure justice for the McCartney family, but their priority is to protect their own. Hence the IRA enforced wall of silence. I hope I didn't miss the mark. Believing in not letting Sinn Féin off the hook, I returned to the Robert McCartney murder on its 3rd anniversary. Mr. President, 3 years ago this month, Robert McCartney was brutally murdered by IRA members in Belfast. Abhorrence at that murder reached this House when the McCartney sisters brought here and put their case for justice in respect of that. 3 years on, justice still evades them. Why? Primarily because the party which could help the most, Sinn Féin, is still more interested in protecting their own than seeing the killers brought to justice. Indeed, the situation has worsened because pressure on Sinn Féin has been eased by their admission to government, with the result that for the sake of maintaining that government, those like my former party, the DUP, are prepared to let Sinn Féin off the hook. Tragically, justice for Robert McCartney is secondary to maintaining the Chuckle coalition at Stormont. Likewise with the more recent murder of Paul Quinn, undoubtedly by the military wing of Sinn Féin. It too will be shamefully whitewashed and swept under the carpet. That, Mr. President, is what happens when you treat with the forces of terrorism.